Hi YouTube. The video you are about to watch is something I recorded 2 weeks ago, and it's mostly relevant, but a little bit of the information is out of date. So the two main things to know, first of all, Ben Davis's Better Context just received a big update. He posted a video about that today. And Kinetic Context, the video about the context MCP that I created, is also a little bit out of date because I've used it even more since I've created it, and I have made updates as I've been using it, and now it's kind of polished, I think. I'm sure there will be problems you might run into if you do submit issues in GitHub. But anyway, here's the video.
It has become clear that artificial intelligence will continue to augment developers' capabilities. And yesterday, or by the time you're watching this, several days ago, T3 Theo, posted this video explaining how to catch up and figure out how to use AI in your development workflow if you're not using it already. One of the interesting points that he made in this video is that fine-tuning models isn't really necessary, and what you should dedicate more of your efforts to is creating better prompts and giving your models better context. Now, one of the efforts in the area of giving your models better context is created by Ben Davis. I believe he's an employee of Theo's, or they work together, and he created Better Context. I have tried using Better Context. I'm sure it will improve. I found it a little bit difficult to use right out of the gate. The premise of Better Context is that instead of asking an MCP server or the model itself, which might have out-of-date information, how a given package works, instead, you can clone that package's repository and ask the code directly. I think this is a pretty brilliant model when it comes to giving your models context into how to use the packages in your code base. So much so that I have been cloning my dependencies repos into my projects repos in order to give models context for packages just in the repo itself. That's kind of a hacky solution, but I have found that I get better outputs doing that. So I wanted to take it a step further. I experimented with Better Context a little bit, but I ended up deciding to make my own version of this, which I am calling Kinetic Context. I will link this GitHub repository in the description below. I don't know that I would say that this is a very mature project yet. This is all from one day of work, but you can find the docs at kctx.dev. I will also link this in the description. And if we go to get started, I have created a couple installation methods, or rather, Claude has created a couple installation methods. And the alternative installation, which is the easy one, but I don't want to recommend it because it's not a great idea to run scripts from the internet, is a bash script, which will work for Linux and Mac OS, which will create this .kctx directory in your home directory. And inside of this directory, you'll see we have a kctx binary, which is actually a shell script which you can add to your path, as well as config and data, which these will be volumes that are automatically mounted in this Docker Compose file that gets generated. So once you run the script, you can run the kctx script, and if you just run it, it should start everything. Now this will pull the Docker container for Kinetic Context as well as the Docker container for OpenCode. When you pull the OpenCode container, keep in mind that you need to authenticate to the GitHub container registry. If you aren't authenticated to the GitHub container registry, then you won't be able to pull the OpenCode container image. Now that I have this running, we can go to the web UI, which looks something like this. Now the web app has installation instructions for Cursor or wherever you might be calling the MCP. And there's a concept of projects and packages and models. So since this is using OpenCode, you have to add a provider, and I'll add OpenRouter for now and give it my API key, and I think I'll do minimax m2.1. So save this provider, and I'll select minimax for the time being. When it comes to packages, you can create a package and you can give it an identifier. So usually if I'm working in a TypeScript project, this would be the identifier for the package in the package JSON, and then npm. So I have stepped back from this video for a couple days, and I've been using Kinetic Context. And I have also installed many packages here. So you can see kind of what my environment looks like. And in cursor, I'll say, which MCPs do you have? And it should show kinetic context. If we come here to cursor settings, you can see tools and MCP, kinetic context is enabled. And we'll get that response here. And then I'll say, use kinetic context to give me a high level overview of TanStack AI. We'll just use this for an example. It is one of the packages that I have installed. So you can see it's querying and TanStack AI isn't found, but then it went to list the dependencies, and in here it got the correct @tanstack/AI identifier. Now on my computer, I'm using Minimax for my kinetic context model. That was pretty fast that time. That's pretty good. I have found that this has been super useful in getting things to work very quickly. So I'm quite happy with it. It's definitely not as fast as I would like, and I can certainly imagine other optimizations being made, but I will probably continue to use this and improve it as I see fit. So anyway, I hope kinetic context proves to be useful for you, and leave a comment down below of anything cool that you build with it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.